In episode 52, Release Software Safely Through a Hardened CI/CD, we focus on how to move fast without breaking the trust your customers, regulators, and partners place in you. Continuous integration and continuous delivery pipelines can either be powerful allies or quiet attack paths, depending on how deliberately they are designed. A hardened pipeline is not just a convenience for engineering. It is a core part of the security control environment, especially anywhere payment or personal data is processed. The goal is to secure every promotion step, from the first commit through to production rollout, so that what reaches customers is both intentional and evidenced. When you can describe that chain clearly and show the supporting artifacts, you are speaking the language assessors and leaders listen to. The foundation of a safe pipeline is trust in the source that feeds it, which is why signed commits, protected branches, and peer reviews are treated as non-negotiable. Signed commits, using well-managed keys, provide a cryptographic link between identifiable authors and the changes they introduce. Protected branches enforce that critical branches cannot be updated directly, forcing changes through controlled pull requests with peer review and automated checks. Peer reviews are more than formalities. They catch logic mistakes, insecure patterns, and unsafe shortcuts before they harden into releases. When these practices are applied consistently, the organization gains confidence that the code entering the pipeline has passed both human and technical scrutiny. From there, builds must be gated on tests, policy checks, and provenance generation in a repeatable way. Unit and integration tests validate functionality and guard against regressions, while security-specific checks, such as static analysis and dependency scanning, catch common vulnerabilities early. Policy checks ensure that changes comply with organizational rules, such as avoiding forbidden libraries, complying with licensing constraints, or respecting data handling policies. Provenance generation records which source, dependencies, configurations, and tools contributed to each artifact, creating a verifiable build story. When builds only succeed if all these gates pass, you avoid shipping artifacts whose origins are unclear or whose quality is unknown. The runners that execute pipeline steps must not become a side door into your environment, which is why isolation and least privilege are so important. Isolated runners, whether they are virtual machines or containers, minimize shared state and limit the blast radius if one job is compromised. Ephemeral credentials provide only the minimal access needed for the duration of a job and expire immediately afterward, preventing their reuse in other contexts. Network restrictions bound what runners can reach, blocking unnecessary access to internal services, databases, or external endpoints that have no role in the build process. Together, these measures keep the pipeline from becoming a quiet bridge between untrusted inputs and sensitive systems. A hardened CI/CD story also insists that deployments promote only from controlled artifact repositories, not from ad hoc build paths. When teams bypass repositories and build directly from workstations or local directories, the chain of evidence breaks and unreviewed changes can slip through. Restricting deployments to artifacts that have successfully passed through the full pipeline ensures that all code in production has been tested, signed, and recorded. This discipline also simplifies incident analysis, because you only need to reason about artifacts that come from a known, governed source. Preventing ad hoc paths is one of the clearest ways to reduce accidental or malicious surprises. Deployment strategies themselves are part of safety, not just operations convenience. Approaches such as blue-green, canary, and rolling deployments exist to control blast radius when new versions go live. Blue-green deployments allow quick cutover and rollback between two environments, while canary releases expose only a small portion of users to new versions initially. Rolling deployments spread risk over time and infrastructure, limiting the impact of hidden defects. By aligning deployment strategies with the criticality of services and the organization's risk appetite, you reduce the chance that a single faulty release produces a broad, uncontrolled outage. Rollbacks deserve the same rigor as forward deployments, because an unsafe rollback can make a bad situation worse. Before relying on a rollback path, you validate that previous versions are still compatible with current dependencies, data schemas, and configurations. You check that configuration management and infrastructure as code definitions will reapply correctly, rather than leaving systems in a mixed state. Dependencies such as database migrations and external integrations must be evaluated to ensure that rolling back one component does not break another. Treating rollback as a designed and tested path, not a last-minute improvisation, ensures that recovery is as safe as deployment. Change windows, approvals, and automated pre-flight checks bring governance into the release process without halting agility. Change windows coordinate deployments with business cycles, reducing the risk of disruptive changes during peak usage or critical events. Approvals ensure that the right roles have reviewed both technical and business implications, including risk considerations and customer impact. Automated pre-flight checks verify that the target environment is ready, dependencies are in expected states, and configurations match baseline requirements before any change is applied. When these elements are integrated into the pipeline, releases feel routine yet controlled rather than hurried or ad hoc. Observability is central to deciding whether a release is safe once it starts rolling out. During deployments, you track error budgets, health indicators, and user impact thresholds closely enough to know when to pause or roll back. Health indicators might include error rates, latency, resource utilization, and key business metrics such as successful transactions per minute. Error budgets and thresholds define acceptable levels of degradation during rollout and when they have been exceeded. This feedback loop allows the pipeline and operators to react quickly, limiting harm when a change behaves worse than testing suggested. Strict policy enforcement at promotion time is where the hardened pipeline takes a strong stand. Promotions should be blocked automatically when critical vulnerabilities are present in artifacts, when signatures are missing or invalid, or when required attestations are absent. These checks are not meant to punish teams. They are guardrails that prevent known bad or unknown quality changes from reaching sensitive environments. When the rules are clear and consistently applied, teams learn to design their work to meet them, and exceptions become rare and deliberate. This automated firmness is often what distinguishes a mature release process from a hopeful one. Recording end-to-end evidence closes the loop and provides the audit trail that modern assurance demands. For each release, you capture who approved it, what changed, which artifacts were used, when the deployment occurred, and why it was undertaken. You also record relevant test results, policy check outcomes, and any exceptions granted, along with their rationales. This evidence allows you to reconstruct the sequence of decisions and technical steps taken for any given change, which is invaluable during incident response, regulatory inquiries, or Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard (PCI DSS). Over time, this record becomes a living history of how the organization manages change. A brief mental review of these elements shows a coherent, hardened CI/CD story rather than a collection of isolated techniques. You start with signed source and protected branches, move through gated builds that generate provenance, and run everything on isolated, least privilege runners. Artifacts are stored immutably, promoted only from trusted repositories, and deployed using strategies that control blast radius and support safe rollback. Governance flows through change windows, approvals, and strict policy enforcement, while observability and evidence capture make releases transparent and accountable. Together, these practices turn the pipeline into a security control, not just a delivery tool. The practical conclusion for episode 52 is to strengthen one release stage and show the effect. Choosing a single gate, such as enabling signature verification for artifacts before promotion to a staging or production environment, gives you a concrete improvement to design and observe. As that gate begins to operate, you can adjust workflows, documentation, and training so that teams understand both the requirement and the benefits. Over time, you can extend similar rigor to other stages, building a pipeline where every step contributes to trust. For an exam candidate, the ability to describe and advocate for such targeted hardening is a strong indicator of real-world readiness. Thanks for listening. For more audio courses, daily newsletters, and more, please visit baremetalcyber.com.